This is Car Guys New England, your YouTube channel for anything automotive.
You bad, cause you bit bad. Show me the bag, like chips at the front. Lift up, I'm fly like a pelican in my bed. I lick in my way, hella quick. They get gonna pop up on the elephant cut. My trunk, yeah, it's in the front. Of course, it's in the back. This a big. This is a real big difference. You just want a club. I just need them racks. You just wanna parties. I just wanna rock.
Right, it's an exciting morning here. Heading over to Silver Arrow Service. Got my two-wheel drive conversion kit in the front seat. It's made by Reed Performance. So we're going to head over to Silver Arrow now. It looks like there's a window in between raindrops here to get the car over there. And we'll show you guys how to install or how to convert your Lamborghini Murcielago over to two-wheel drive using the Reed Performance Kit, which is the kit to use. It's the proper way to do things.
Morning everyone, this is Josh over at Silver Arrow Service. Today we're going to be installing this Reed Performance two-wheel drive conversion in a 2008 Lamborghini Murcielago. Essentially what we're going to be doing is we're going to be removing the front diff, the torque tube, and the front axles. And in place of it, we're going to be installing this transmission support, these axle stubs, and then the mount to support the transmission. So right now, we can take you over to the car. I can show you the components that we're going to be removing, and then we will start removal, and we'll go and put the new parts in. We're going to start by removing the front wheels. After we remove the front wheels, we'll have access to the large nuts that are on the end of the axle shafts. Once those have been removed, we're going to unbolt the axles from the differential, and then once we remove the differential, we'll be able to slide these axle shafts out, and those are going to be completely just removed from the vehicle. There's nothing that replaces that. Then we're going to have to remove these three supports. Once those three supports are removed, we'll remove the 6 bolts holding the torque tube on, and then this whole torque tube will also be removed from the vehicle. And then once that's done, we can install the transmission support and the axle stub blanks, and the two-wheel drive conversion will be complete. So we use a 17 millimeter socket to take the wheels off, and now we're using a 36 millimeter socket to remove this axle stub nut. When you put these on, typically you torque them to spec, and then there's a little slot where you can peen them over. If you have a strong enough impact gun, it will just break that peen. And it is a one-time use nut, so if you ever wanted to put this kit back on, you would have to replace that nut. So now we're using a 1 foot extension with a 6 millimeter Allen. We're gonna sneak it right through here. And then we're gonna have to take out all 6 of the bolts that hold the axle stubs to the differential. And once we do that, we'll be able to continue removal of the diff, because once the diff is out, then we can get our axles out. We got all 6 of them out. The axle shaft is free. We're gonna move over here and we're gonna do the other side now. So now that we have both the axles loose, I'm gonna remove these supports. And after those supports are removed, I'll unbolt the torque tube from the diff. And that will allow us to then remove the 2 bolts that hold the diff in. And we can drop the whole diff right out of the car. The one thing you want to pay attention to is they do have washers on the inside of this mount as well. So you just want to make sure you keep account of what washers went where to keep the proper spacing on that bracket. I forgot to mention the size socket we were using for these sides is a 10 millimeter triple square. And we're going to be using the same one to remove the torque tube bolts. There's 5 bolts on this side, and then back on this side there's 5 more. The ones on this side are pretty easy. They come out no problem. The ones on the back are a little tricky, and I'll show you how we got those out. Now that we have the torque tube all removed, we're going to use a 19 millimeter wrench and a 19 millimeter socket. You're going to actually have to reach up in here, get the wrench on the top of the nut, or on the top of the bolt. And then we can come right down here, zip off the nut. Disconnect this sensor as well when you pop it off. It's just a little spade. You do have to slide it back and then drop it right out of the vehicle. Slide that one right out. This axle's a little bit stuck in there, so what you're going to want to do is get a ball peen hammer. If you notice in the center here, there's a little like divot. If you was to just take a flat hammer and smash this, you're going to damage the threads around the edge. So what we're actually going to do is put the ball peen right there and then just gently tap it. Now we're going to install these axle deletes. I put a little bit of lube on them just to make sure that they don't seize up. They literally just slide right through the back here. Slide right through. And then you put your nut on this side. We're gonna wait to torque these until we have the car on the ground, and then they get torqued to 345 Newton meters. So in order to get these top bolts on the transmission side, I have this wobble extension. So when you put this socket on there, it actually allows the socket to wobble. And what you're gonna have to do is put the socket on the bolt first. And once you have it on there square, you can slide the extension right through this gap. Just catch it. Take the bolt right out. Now that we have the whole torque tube loose, you can gently just pry back. The drive shaft will start to slide out of the transmission. And there you go. Torque tube with the drive shaft. We're going to install the transmission mount now. It only goes on one way. We're going to put it up here, and then we're going to use the same hardware we took off to install this on. Now we're going to torque these bolts down to 25 Newton meters. We're going to be using the same hardware that we took out to put these back in as well. So torque on these bolts is 25. Obviously, as you can see, we can't get our torque wrench in here. So we're gonna have to kind of just do them by feel. So we're just gonna use the old elbow torque wrench. When we get to where we think 25 is, you'll actually hear my elbow do the same thing as the torque wrench. Beep. 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 These are also torqued to 25. So all I'm going to do is take the plug out. I'm going to route it way up here so it's up out of the way. And then I'm going to use a couple zip ties to secure it up there so we don't have to worry about it ever coming down or dragging or anything like that. And it's also up out of the elements. So the last thing we got to do is just torque the axle stub shafts. I'm going to torque them to 345 Newton meters. Easiest way to do it is put the wheels on it and put it on the ground. And then just torque them down.
That one's borderline. It's the same, actually.
Oh. Sweet.
Alright, it's gonna be 100 for the track.
Alright, so that's the complete two-wheel drive conversion on the 2008 Lamborghini Murcielago. Make sure to hit the like button below. If you want to reach out to us, you can get us at silverarrowservice.com or you can call us at 603-566-2075. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out.
All right, so I wanted to just take a moment to thank Josh and the crew over at Silver Arrow Service for getting the two-wheel drive conversion done. It is absolutely awesome. The car doesn't bind as much at low speeds when you're turning, and if you're a Murcielago owner, I'm sure you'll know what I'm talking about. And the car actually just takes off like you wouldn't believe. So this is an awesome mod. I'll do a follow-up video on it just to kind of show how the car runs and drives like this. And yeah, we'll keep you guys posted. But anyways, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give this video a like. If you have questions or comments, be sure to comment down below. This is Jay with Car Guys New England. Until next time, take care.